My Venmo. Hello, the humans of the Book of Face. It is I, the Z of Katie. Let me make sure that I am not also going to hear myself on Facebook. Okay. Now let me get to the tic-tac paddywhack. Give my dog a home, whatever that means. And we will get started. This is going to be like super chill. There's just some basicness. I think some basicness of the basics with some of the concepts that very clearly are not just like generally present. Okay. Let me just tell my friend that I'm on. Okay, this is what I needed to know. Hello, hello. This is string practice. What is string practice? String practice is when Katie doesn't know what else to do, so you just make it up, but you make it up real. Okay, you don't make it up, make it up. We're very good at the making of it up. We need to make it up real. So I have taken the vastness of the incredibleness of all of my training and turned it into a sense of bum, a smile, and some breaths. That's it. So I want to guide that, the sense of bum, the smile, and the breaths. And I also I'm hoping that I'll get some questions on these other platforms. But I do have some folks have been asking me some questions about Soma over the last couple of days. So I thought I would, those are my cats having their meltdown, Norman and Darla. All Chinese medicine happens at the scale of cat. They are tiny but mighty. So if you'd like to practice and to play along, the 3 things you need are a spine, a bum, and breath. I will be doing my stuff on a block because it's better for my hips. You go in the way that works for you. So we're just getting ready to remember that we exist in the first place. I don't know how much dissociation anyone else has experienced in a lifetime. Sometimes I need to be reminded. So the groundbreaking somatic gift Katie is giving to the world is sense of bum or ass in the grass, depending on your audience, okay? And it is literal. So get a surface, depending upon your mobility and your preference and like what's happening. If you're able to be sitting, awesome. Okay, then we'll go to the ground. So you find something to sit on. There's a free guide upstairs that has beautiful images and all the basics of what I'm guiding today. So you don't need to go to a training to put it to use. That seems silly, especially since all I did was add gravity. So sit in the way that works for you. You don't have to make this sacred. This does not have to have any meaning other than I'm remembering that I exist. I'm reminding my body that it's real. And so if you just kind of sway side to side, one of my early yoga asana teachers used to talk about it as like plugging your sits bones in. So it's almost like you're feeling for your bum bones, and then your coccyx, your tailbone, just has this like nice little way to have some lightness in it. We put a lot of pressure on our low back, typically with sitting. And I say we, because I am one of us. So if you're getting the sense of bum or the sense of gravity, like what's gravity like right now? What parts of you are touching gravity? So touching gravity, we're going to be literal about it. A surface. And then without looking, can you feel with your mind, feel into the experience of being on something? Not in, on. Okay, and not on something in the fun way. Okay, sorry, we have to get like practical with the third dimension. Believe me, I exist in 8. Okay, if we are not all here, we can't move forward with the soma. And we being here is especially guides. And if you are a licensed guide, very much so, guide to the soma. Excellent. Healing smile is bringing the tip of your tongue to the ridge behind your upper teeth, like that, and smiling. On the bean, I'm not bringing the bean too far forward right now, but on the bean, we're in the head of the bean. So you smile, and then imagine your smile coming to you, as well as where you might want it to go. If you're from a culture that isn't a smiling culture, or smiling just isn't a thing that you do, please don't make yourself smile. The most important is that you have the tongue to that ridge behind your upper teeth, and that we're relaxed here. This is the pagoda of the 12 bells. Okay, this is the physical location of all polyvagal and window of tolerance concepts. So let's drop it down, smile. And that's gonna let this, when you drop it down, it's just your mind. And then if you'd like, you can smile to let's smile to the xiphoid process. So not quite your belly, because that can be a little weird. Bring your hands. Xiphoid process is the soft, mushy bit in between your ribs. Okay? So you can place your hands gently there and imagine like you're smiling all the way through your hands. You don't have to look at it though. Because you've already made the circuit. So we're creating circuits, smile circuits for our benefit, and then it comes forward for others. We got to take care of our house first, okay? Smile to your xiphoid process. For your head today, I invite you to take your interlaced fingers behind your neck, like right where the crown, your skull meets your spine. Yes, those are appropriated tattoos. We can discuss that when we have a conversation about appropriation. I was in a different body mind at the time. So just bringing, not even pressure, but awareness, right? Like I have a whole back of my head. And then imagine you're smiling to your hands, but it's like going through. No, I'm not sure any of you experienced a little bit of maybe a drop in the experience of gravity here and maybe a little lift in the experience of gravity here. It'll be inherent. We don't need to force any of it. So just smiling. It's called the inner smile or the healing smile. I'm adapting it from the original, which is China about 1,000 years before acupuncture. The world has changed. Smiling to your heart today, we just be to come here. And smile as though. So smile as though your heart deserves a smile, even if this isn't believing it so much right now. And if it's feeling okay, only if it's feeling okay, hands to belly. I know this is a very tender space for me, very, very tender. Sometimes I don't even I'll just go here or here, and then I'm just smiling. Like the touch isn't required, just the concept, the directionality. And do you notice how all of this is going into you, okay? That is what somatics is. Somatics is the directionality of the intent, not the location of the target. It's not the target. It's what is emerging. So therapy modalities, so we're smiling to our belly. If they have to add somatic on top, I encourage you to have a sense of bum throughout, because the sense of bum is going to anchor the tailbone through the hip sockets, the hip joints, instead of putting you on a tip that you have to spiral around, which would be the other way of contemplating. Let's just assume it's already there. There's much less work to do. You like that? Cool. We're going to go into the organs now, and I want to show you on a Chinese medicine chart so you can see that we can be non-invasive with these genuine medicinal concepts in a way that is aligned with all the same theory and reasoning that a Chinese medicine doctor uses to determine acupuncture and herbs. But all we're going to do is smile and breathe. So let's just go around the circle. We won't worry about the order of the organs. This is your heart. And your heart is paired with your small intestines. So this also has a little bit to do with the experience of digestion and heartburn. Okay. And so the emotions associated with this are joy and love and hate and vitriol. But they're just emotions in the universe. They're not the ones that you are carrying forward to help or harm. We are an archetype. We are cosmic. Because there's a special guest into all of this, which is a Shen, which is outside of today, because we're just keeping it real meaty. But when you go to the TCM doctor, the Shen are the entities that do the labor. Magical, mystical, how convenient. So smile to your heart. You can also smile to this target if you'd like. The heart target. The emotions are love and hate, and the sound is ha. So you would breathe in whatever love and kindness is today, who knows, and let go of hate with ha. Real simple, a couple times. Breathing in love and breathing out hate with ha. In the pacing that works for you. Let me, right? So just a few. Inhaling love, whatever that means. Letting go of hate, whatever that means. Color is red. Ah, nice. Next today will be your liver. This is that color green. All of my materials have these a little bit more earth tones, so it takes us into earth tone rather than rainbow. And this is the wood element in our body. This represents growth and also how we set up growth. It corresponds to your liver, which is on the right side of your body. I'm not sure if you're seeing this as right or left. My right side is easy to tell. It's the one missing. And can I tell you, this is much more swollen and filled since I've had this surgery because of what they did and needed to do to my lymphatic system, not to my breast. So the sound is shh, and the emotions are anger and forgiveness. And if you're trying to keep track, there's free stuff upstairs, okay? That is this. So you breathe in forgiveness, smiling at your liver or this, like inside smiling, and let go of anger with a shush. But not shh, not like that. Like slow pressure releasing. Not the terror I have with pressure cookers. So we're inhaling forgiveness and letting go of anger with shush. Towards the liver, towards that green. Awesome. Sense of bum, rearranging, rethinking, reorienting, moving all together, whatever you need. Next is water. This is our kidneys. This is shock and calm. This is the element of all fluid in the body, all of it. It is associated with our adrenal glands, which is where we receive adrenaline. But the water element is blood, it's lymph, it's tears, it's saliva. And this is how our default mode network in our brain experiences homeostasis. I apologize. I did not know that was a structure in the brain until last week. This has just been obvious because it's inherent to this system. So once I figure out how I can give you a direct mapping, but the default mode network is like the Millennium Falcon, landing peacefully and easy, not having to get pulled out of the swamp. It's just floating on nice buoyancy. That changes our experience of vestibular. That changes our experience of sensory processing. Okay, so this is a really important element and concept. So it's your kidneys, shock and calm. Those are my cats. The sound is chew. C-H-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O. So you would breathe in to your kidneys, your idea of kidneys, or to what this is. Breathe in calm. Let go of shock with chew. Just like that, breathing in calm. Exhale, chew. It's amazing. I love this for when I have to drive over a bridge, or when I have to go to a store, or when I go to this is like my go-to, especially with like some kinds of anxiety, like rumination, because all that happens up here, which is the water element of our mind and consciousness. So if you key into your kidneys, key into, not turn into or turn on. This is alchemy. Where you direct your mind matters. Not you have to direct the mind to where the target is water. The sound is. All right, look at this metal. Grief and courage. Lungs. Okay, our lungs have been not having a good time the last many years, last several years. We don't even have, we could go back as far as the EPA, but let's just take it back to 2020. there's been some events, some lung level events. So TCM does two things that are really amazing with lungs. The first thing is it's present in the internal alchemy system as the element metal. This is absent in most other alchemy systems. My sense is it was present at some point in some way, but since TCM, Taoist cosmology, Taoist philosophy, Taoist yoga, since Taoism and non-dual thought process has not been appropriated in the same way that yoga has, I feel like we can use that to our advantage also, because then this becomes an add-on and it just starts to kind of lessen the load, which is something we really like. It's called allostatic load. Okay, so we go for homeostasis, but we experience allostasis. And we can change that not only by breathing, but how we relate to breath. So let's make breath metal because they already did it and it works. The emotions are courage and grief. And the sound is S, like steam. So inhale courage. Let go of grief with S. Nice and easy. Smiling to your lungs, which are on the back. So you make that up. Smile to this as lungs, and then, or whatever, right? So you can make this work for your sensory needs. Amazing for neurodivergence. It puts the control of the charge inside of us, not even in our hands. This is how TCM works. This is the earth element. This is sense of bump. So anytime you can get on earth, it's called flatland in this realm, okay, on flatland. When you get your sense of bum, that makes, and I've discovered all of this, by the way, okay? I love it. It's all here. Look at that. Sense of bum. Now you're the weaver. So now you're on the planet, not just in an environment. So one of the ways, you see that? So we're identifying with the weaver, and that's going to take us behind the stomach into the spleen. So in TCM, the stomach is yang and the spleen is yin. We relate to the fullness of yin as far as our body is concerned. We relate solid, not active, not spinning. And the spleen's sound is like an owl, you know, like wind. So it has a lot to do with how we experience wind. And that's very closely associated to how we breathe ourselves. And all of that can be really messed up by how hot things are, how much fire, how much tension. This relationship here can also exacerbate the experience of rumination and worry because it is genuinely attached, okay, to fire in this system. That's how an attachment works alchemically. I don't understand attachment theory, whatever, but alchemically, that's how attachment works. Okay, I'm not an acupuncturist. How can I interpret all of TCM? Because it's alchemy. So the sound is, and the emotions are worry and trust. So you just breathe in. I'm very good at the worry. I don't know about you. The trust, not so much. I just have to go magical, mystical. Inhale, trust. Exhale, worry with. And then we just kind of let it go. The last basic exercise, which is the first alchemical practice, and I don't believe I have the alchemical, I think I have the pericardium in, but maybe not the microcosmic orbit. We'll see. But we have to get back to fire, I'm sorry, because there's 2 fire elements in TCM, and we have this issue with it can do a lot of things. So there's also, we position the pericardium and the heart together. And the last sound in the 6 healing sounds sequence, which is in your free stuff that you can get, so you can do this yourself and not have to listen to me yammer. It's very simple and direct. But the pericardium is fascia. The pericardium has fluid in it. Our heart is like a little baby in a ball sack. Okay, like if we're angry, it's a ball sack. If we're happy, it's a little baby. And also, thank you for sharing the live. I really appreciate it. Where this occurs alchemically in the framework of Chinese medicine, emotional alchemy, all those breaths, those nice, easy breaths happen at the star bridge. This is our inner child. Okay, that is my cat having a meltdown. He's in love with Winston next door. We're working on it. So alchemy effect, we're going for the child and to have a resource to sustain. Achievement in this system is you get to live longer. The horizon is farther out. You get more depth, not height. Okay, because we can't have height unless we have something to both anchor and guide. So this is our anchor and guide. And now we can just circumnavigate all the silliness of Western medicine that's trying to make us regulate inherent. That's nice. Excellent. We add this on. There's no reason to try to break what refuses to move, right? So alchemically, all of this is occurring here. And then this is that 12-storied pagoda I was discussing. This is that inner smile. 1, 2, and a smile. So when you bring the tip of your tongue to this ridge behind your upper teeth and close your lips together, that makes the microcosmic orbit happen. And then we can also feel into it, but not key, feel into it. So the microcosmic orbit, you're going to find your sense of bum. I think I need to get my Zoom folks a little bit more zoomed. You're going to find your sense of bum. That's what you're on. And for today, who cares if you're sitting, lying down, or on your side? Okay, if you're on your side, your sense of bum is your side, because that's the part of you that's touching earth. When you do the idea of the circuit, though, the circuit is your spine. Okay, so where gravity is in relationship to you, you need to know. This is what the totality of Western medicine gets wrong. This is what the totality of polyvagal theory, this is why it's damaging. Okay, we're running power through circuits. That's what a flippin' nervous system is. Oh my goodness, and it's a deep neural net. So you find whatever part of you is attached to gravity, connected to gravity. And then I would suggest you look at the being here. And I would also suggest that I think forward to having something to write with. But why would I do that? That would make sense. Not much of me. Oh, here we go. Excellent. Thank you, Norman, for sitting on my thing. Okay. So you turn on the inner smile. Okay. Bring the tip of your tongue to the ridge behind your upper teeth. Bring your attention to the base of your spine, regardless of where you are on gravity. So you're smiling and your attention is at the base. The imagining is when you smile, what you're feeling for is this, that it's going up your spine and then back down the spine, just to begin. This is what you're feeling for. This is where you're imagining your breath, very close to your spine. You may or may not feel it. Truly, it doesn't matter. It matters the directionality, okay? And you're looking at this, and that's why it's in your free stuff. So you're smiling, you're attached, you're aware of gravity, you're not attached. And then you're imagining this, but what's going to happen is this. It's going to become like a waterfall. It's like a nice waterfall. So smiling, finding the base. You don't have to hold your breath either. Just imagining up the back. Imagining down the front. If you need to imagine down the front, then that's what you do too. When I'm injured during cancer, I did not go that deep with my thinking. So you can also just keep it nice and light and cool. So we go up the back, just with our minds right now. That's your inhale, and there's the exhale. This is auto magic, not automatic, auto magic, which is Katie's worst thing for an engineer to hear. This is auto magic. It turns on its own. What it's asking us, what's inviting us to do, this is Neidan, this is Taoist alchemy, okay? This is actual yoga. This is real. Okay, I know I appear skinny white yoga chick. I have a lot of work I'm going to be doing for the whole rest of my life around that. This is genuine. I'm not saying what else is being presented is not, but I'm saying what I'm showing you is. Do I have a recorded video? I have the Neijing tour, of course. I'm also starting a Patreon that's going to have, well, there's going to be a ton of free stuff on Offering Tree. I'm going to do a whole library. You should not have to pay for basic access, ever. Ever, ever, especially, do I own this? No. So that's there for you. And I'm developing more curricula. The chart that I've been in front of is called the Neijing 2. It's going to be backwards for some of you. I have many, many, many variations of this that I'm pulling together, because you can use this like a coloring book. You can print it out like a poster. I've like, oh my goodness. Hold on. I have turned it into so many things, in part because this is my design process. So please do not look at this and decide that you have to suddenly become an information architect without a computer. You just have to do it anyway. But you can print it out. You can color on this. You could, so all of the sense of bum is here. All of the virtue is here. All the contemplation of, you know, love and joy and all of that occurs here. The breathing occurs here. What the Shen do alchemically, Shen are the magical mysticals, and they're real. And this is how Katie accidentally invented string theory, because nobody told me a whole bunch of things, including Einstein wasn't printed on watercolor paper. Yes. The water is key. Water is the only key. So Katie had to envelop. I have prints that I print on watercolor paper that you can add to that I'm bringing forward as well. I just needed to have more assistance with my body. I'm disabled. So this is how I would suggest you contemplate a Shen, the magical mystical of Chinese medicine, Shen. Shen is now Katie's stand-in for everything that I need to be auto magic. I'm a world-class designer. We have nothing to worry about that. I proved the theory of everything by practicing nothing. It's gravity, that's all. Okay, so our organs are like all over the body, right? All right, that's fine. But we know that the child on the bridge is the inner child, okay? Cool. What does that mean? I don't know. It's your deal, not mine. Excellent. When you get your translation of this, the English translation places these breathing exercises that I have guided and I have presented simply, just like distinct and child-friendly, okay? So you don't need to worry about this being too technical for younger ones. But the breath happens like this. The Shen are always you. They're always connected to us. My Shen is my Shen. Your Shen is your Shen. You could also contemplate TION as the definition and SHEN as the experience. Again, because we have to just be an antagonist to the medical. We can't try to cut through any of these systems. They're way too, they're too tight. The fascial experience isn't possible. So the Shen are really good at changing that. So if I'm doing the sound for my heart, and I believe I have a Shen, but I don't know what it is. There's my particle and string physics. You're in agony? Oh, please don't be in agony. I'm in agony too. Okay, so you smile to the organ. Your intention goes out. That's the Shen. It's grabbing. Let's say it's just going to bring in some courage. This is just like breathing with trees. It brings in courage. Okay. You exhale grief, and now shame has a way to go, and grief has a way to show. One of the reasons we have such a challenging time emotionally, psycho-emotional, okay? This is about psycho-emotional. We have a challenging time with this because so many of us have shame. Like deep-seated, okay? Deep-seated, S-E-E-D, not S-E-A-T. By the time you're an adult, addressing nervous system regulation, addressing not having been diagnosed, addressing all these things, by the time you are addressing it, which occurs here, okay, a lot of your shame might as well be fully inherent. And guess what? If you assume it to be, and know and believe that these, whatever these are, do their job, I'm not making this up. I'm just not doing it invasively. There are psychiatrists using these concepts to determine how to medicate. Why don't we just breathe? I have my medication, obviously, but this keeps me in charge. In charge. Not in control. You find one by going upstairs and downloading the stuff for free. And then you come to all the donations and the freeness. I'm really wanting to make this as widely available as quickly as possible. Okay. belly, head, heart, bio, psycho, social. Okay, so the biopsychosocial model that's very popular, especially with the skinny white yoga chick therapist right now. Oh, getting real excited about it. Bio, psycho, social. This page represents the medical model, because the medical model is based on boundaries and measurement and is fully and wholly connected, interconnected, intertwined, interwoven with incarceration, not health and wellness. This becomes biopower. Biopower. The fancy philosopher who came up with those words is Michel Foucault. Okay, studied him a lot in grad school because I knew that all things being equal, they are not and never will be. So this guides us towards equanimity, not equity, not equality, equanimity. Do you see what's happening to my hand? Equanimity. The Buddhists call it an equanimity of mind. I have never understood a Buddha. There's too much imagination there, and I don't see anything in my head. But equanimity, if I want to balance as a human, or if I'm balancing thought in an organization when I'm doing enterprise application integration, that's all translation. It's this. Whoop. And if you're looking for equanimity and not equity, it can be more fluid. So we're going to make these our moose horns. We have to retrain this. Okay, we know enough here. So we're going to have moose horns. That's nice, because now look, I'm connected into the trigeminal nerve in a kind way. So you're not pressing hard. We're going to moose it up. If this is terrible for you, please do not obligate yourself, but we moose it up. I'm looking. And this is what we're trying to experience with our default mode. Network. It is not a state. It is a mode. It's a mode of operation. Regulation is a mechanism inherent to the function of one nerve. One. Not your brain, not even half of your brain, not even the idea of a homunculus, which reflects the totality of you within, which, by the way, is illustrated very specifically in the head of the beam, verified in literature. I didn't know that. I've just been using it because it's a lot easier. So coming your way is going to be like cheat sheets for what do I do? Where's gravity? What if Earth is here? And then you can feng shui your own emotional regulation system, pattern, whatever. Because some of you are going to see this and wanted it to be like a program, right? Or like Lincoln Logs. It needs to be able to be that. Some of you are going to see this and want to turn it into coloring books and watercolor. And you should have access to that and be able to do it that way, understanding and knowing it's also really practical. And some of us are so abstract, that isn't even possible. All we know is ass in the grass and magical mystical. But do you see how it's all the same? Okay, this is what design is. This is what rhetoric can be to benefit. This is also how we make propaganda. Okay, the entities that operate here are the ones you need to be concerned about. And most of your yoga instructors have never been told. You're welcome. Thank you, Denise. Okay, your doctors have never been informed that the connections, the lines between the connections in our fascial system operate the same way that the whatever the lines and the dendrites of your nerves do. This is all, it's all the same pattern. We're a fractal of 3, base 8. I don't understand that. I don't do the math. It's just a lot easier. But what is a base? Who knows? Base is the center of the planet. So I'm attempting to not codify, to visualize this for you fully in alignment with the medicine, okay? And with the express purpose, I'm trying to get this, I'm sorry, TikTok, with the express purpose of decolonizing the machine. Okay, the wellness to supremacy pipeline is the rhetoric of wellness. We do not need to even make the skinny white yoga chick the enemy we are, okay? We just change, it's not changing the narrative, it's influencing the rhetoric. I'm a sneaky bitch, okay? I have built all these things. I know how boys think. There's no association in the machine, which means we can also replace. It's just guiding thought to infinity and not synthesis. And guiding thought to an infinity that is based on Earth. I would never do Feng Shui. This is me complaining. Feng Shui, you have to make this happen in 3D. So when I was designing this program, the system, this, what is this thing? I had to make it stand on its own. I had to account for gravity. Where's my man? It was just like the one change that had to be made was the shift to, oh, well, I didn't do a good job of having it with me. You may have seen me standing in front of, it looks like a dude in a cage. It's just an axial way of looking at the body rather than a planar. So it's the medical humans are taught as though they're doing surgery and you're already out. That's how they're taught. And the history of that is that humans aren't inherently human because we understand what the history of Western medicine is. So we need to get above it with our consciousness so that we can be aware. Look at that again, the horns go down. Did you know that there's a ventral horn in your brain that Katie intuited? Because I grew up around symphony and conducting. But now I have this, right, which is like guiding here, and this. Those are my cats. And so I have a frame of reference. If I'm looking for equanimity, if I'm feeling into, so what the default mode network does is, you know that pot, you know the thing where you're just kind of like lying down like this? And you're just like hanging out. That's what the default mode network does. It's not regulating. It's not angry. What's angry is if you have enough trauma, if you have enough life, your amygdala gets larger. And then when you force it to be a certain way, the water gets choppy and it doesn't experience space. Okay, the zone is smooth waters in your default mode network. That's reflected very clearly in the Neijing too, which you're going to go upstairs and get a bean and join me in the bean scene because now we're associating human being. Sounds a lot like human being. So sneaky. Katie's the queen of the workaround. So we do sense of bum, ass in the grass, however that needs to be for you. Healing smile. 5 breaths, and extra for the pericardium. Poof. You want to add on, you can imagine the microcosmic orbit. I say imagine as genuinely instructing that I need to put together a workshop. But yeah. Oh, here, let me show you what coloring the bean can look like. You're gonna have to do it one frame to another. Do you see that? I just colored it. So I have this ready to go on whiteboard if you're an instructor, but you're also, I mean, like, print it out and do whatever you want with it. Anything that is like IP copyright is what humans put on and into this. All this is an interface. This is like this can be a microscope into the inner workings of your immune system and your fascia and what's happening. And you can see there are entities here. So now I can do my internal family systems, right? That's your microscope. It can be a telescope looking to the cosmos, looking to the larger factors, looking to the global context. Microscope, telescope, stethoscope. Okay, stethoscope occurs at the central palace, on the pericardium. Not at the prescription pad. Not at the DSM. Not at your diagnosis. Not at any identity or requirement anybody or you have placed on yourself. No, this is inherent. This is whatever's real, true, factual, actual for you. Okay? The job of the human in power is to manage the charge. And you need to understand how you need to be operating to do that. Not what your role is, not how much you know, not how smart you are. Okay, you are operating as chemotherapy, a network engineer, and propagandist operating. I'm not putting any malice on this at all, by the way. But look how much it is so easy to change. It's a shift. So, and the shift is anytime I am looking at something, I must be looking at an interface, not reality. It might be true. It might be factual. It might be art. It might be watercolor. It could be anything. So I like to say, I have style. I have grace. I am not that interface. You can try it with me if you want. I'm perfectly fine being silly online. I have style. I have grace. I am not an interface. You see what that does here? So the more we can just like be like, this part of us, you should be confused. This is proper confusion. We're doing Chinese medicine, Feng Shui, and talking about sense of bum and smiling and ways to get around and work through the constraints of the system. That's what I'm speaking to. So confusion is part of how Taoism operates. Taoism specifically. I can't speak much to Buddhism. I haven't been with Lama Tarchin since long before he died. And that is the only other direct access I've had to a system, but I have much more direct access to this. I will be, I'm going to come on tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll do the sense of bum smile, 5 breaths, and we're going to do it as Shen. So it'll be more symbolic, and you'll have this. So I'm realizing I need to add a 1 sheet of this to all the free stuff, and I may not have time to do that before tomorrow. It's going to happen as soon as I can make it happen. Again, these are practices. Yeah, this is string practice. So this is Chinese cosmology. I'm a scholar. Chinese cosmology, Chinese medicine, non-invasive. I don't do anything with needles or herbs because it's alchemy. All of these concepts of nervous system regulation and emotional regulation, those are alchemical processes, regardless of how it occurs. It changes the state that you are in. It changes your own experience. They're telling me that I don't exist on TikTok. It changes your experience of inherent. Okay, so regulating is something that we determine. Resonance is something we experience. You can see my logo now is a spine. It's 3 aspects of spine. So I like to contemplate these practices like cello or whatever classical music is, I don't know, but how it has regulation is a full-time job, and that's part of why it's keeping us sick. Only because we're being told that's what we need to do and accomplish, not because it's a thing that happens. There's a really big difference between defining a thing, knowing a thing, understanding it, being able to give evidence and show why it's important, and then obligate a stranger to that. So my training in polyvagal theory is with the inventor of polyvagal theory. It never occurred to me that he would speak the same language to a yoga instructor who barely understands what they're teaching physically, much less should become a neuroscientist. I'm very, very unhappy with these men, very. So we're going to add magical mystical. Homeostasis is the same as resonance. Maybe. Homeostasis and resonance can be, I can have a homeostatic resonant experience here, but it may not be resonant here. This is one of the ways yoga goes sideways socially, is we get like all of this happening so good in this circuit, and then we're not really good. It's not co-regulation. I know they call it co-regulation. It's a covalent bond. Okay, this is chemistry, not electric. This isn't electrical engineering. This is chemical engineering. So it's chemistry. So we're forming a covalent bond. Covalent is a term from biology and chemistry. What I've been doing is I've been designing this framework. I apologize for my mouth being dry. The entirety of my HVAC died, and so I'm subjected to fans right now. The 2 things I've done in transparency is I've either gone below the rhetoric or over the rhetoric's head. I'm assuming all of the words that everybody is using is accurate to that. So I'm assuming that co-regulation is accurate. And I'm telling you, As a twin, you cannot do that. I'm a fraternal twin. Never happened. You got to add one other piece to the pie and give something, right? Isn't that right, Kiki? Yes, it's very right. So the other thing you could do, Kimberly, is when you hear a word that ends in T-I-O-N, what would the S-H-E-N be? So nervous system regulation, T-I-O-N. What's my lived experience of that? Do you see what happens just to the question? Am I regulated? Oh, what's my experience? And that's where we start to get into things like, what is the appropriate amount of pressure? How much touch? Temperature? Tone? A lot of what's happening with the fluorescent lights and the flickering is it's a perception thing, not a processing. It's perception. We perceive differently based on our brains and our brain states and what's happening in our environment. There's more than just this happening. So we determine regulation and experience resonance. Experience resonance. Yeah, you could say that. I just don't like to regulate. I come to that concept through having dealt with the SEC during Enron and all this law changes. And I understand regulation from trying to change cannabis laws and having bank account after bank account after bank account seized. Okay, my understanding of regulation is working between the president of Mexico, Vicente Fox, and money in the US to figure out how he can transform his land into cannabis farms. That's where we should be talking about regulation. If we're speaking about trauma, we need to speak to regulation systemically and globally. My suggestion is when you hear regulation, like make it massive or make it just a part. But regulation is cannot be the thing unless I have to keep you out of jail or keep you from getting popped by the feds. I don't know how to do either of those if you're not a technology company. So we're just going to have to do it by being beans on the ground, which is better anyway. Replays of the live streams, because these live streams are donation, I want to honor the nature of that. So they're going to be, you're going to bean it. Yes. Bean the scene. We are beans in a scene. It's the bean scene. You got it. Look at that already. Poof. You're an alchemist. So the replays are going to go on offering tree so that there's a bit of a barrier, so that I just don't feel like I should be profiting off of a replay of a live stream that you got to come to. So that's just kind of how I think about things. There is a lot of money for me to make. I'm almost there with the proposals. If you know or have access to anybody interested in a conversation about decolonizing therapy, those are the humans I need to be connecting with. I have a 100% failure rate so far. I have experienced, it's shocking. I've been in the room with people credentialing psychiatrists as sex therapists. I am telling you, it is shocking how the attunement is, not what the desire, the attunement. It's messed up. Your DBT therapist will love this because this is a way to not have to have synthesis. DBT is based on Taoism. Okay, but dialectics synthesize. This is Marx's problem. Okay, I cannot synthesize my big ass amygdala. I cannot synthesize having to have rewired my own sensory motor cortex while I was surviving treatment for stage 3 cancer, somatically isolated and working on not becoming insane. Okay, that never synthesizes. That's a transformation. So the DBT is awesome. And what else? I'm always going to be queer. Why should I try to synthesize? I'm queer. This isn't a queer friendly space, but I really like that person, so I'll go. The DBT would be like, how do I don't know. I don't understand the DBT, but if you associate consciousness and behavior and a third party is determining your success, that's the problem, because it's your consciousness and your behavior. So from a tensegrity perspective, tensegrity happens when there are 2 fixed points and one that can move. There's been some recent research on this as an idea of triple empathy. I don't have my model right with me. Oh, I do have a model right here. So as it relates to like a human, this is fixed, our head and our belly, and then like all this stuff can move, just like on the beam. How do you keep yourself from getting overstimulated? Predictive processing. I'm trying to give us some language that takes us out of models that are of, anyway, I'm going to say goodbye over here and then I'm going over there. Thank you so much. Offering tree, support me, live life happy.